Alrighty. What up, 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 what up? Check me out on Rumble. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me also on BitChute. Pretty much gonna hop right into it. Um, Major announcement though. Gonna try to make posts consistent. I've gotten a lot of feedback and good feedback where I should be voicing more of my opinions on, current events, videos. Apparently, I'm an interesting guy, so that's cool. But yeah, no, all seriousness, I'm gonna try to take this, video posting journey a little bit more serious. And yeah, that being said, these are some of my outlets here. If you want to support, that'd be awesome. If not, no worries. Um, with that being said, though, I'd like to kind of get started and check out something that caught my attention over at on Band.video. And by the way, the shirt that I have right now, I'm sure you've seen that before. Yeah, that's only available through me, so you have to message me through Instagram. Okay, Instagram, and then you would let me know your shirt size, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, I made this myself. I made custom apparel as well. Custom apparel like shirts, sweaters, custom sweats, track suits. I've done shoes before. I've done banners, the whole shebang. I enjoy it, but it is my bread and butter. So that being said, I do custom make a lot of cool stuff, so you'll see me wearing it. If you like some of the stuff that I wear, just inquire about it. Okay. I don't have like a page set up or anything like that where I post these things to list and sell or anything. I do, but this doesn't connect with that. Two separate things. So, like I said, if you're interested, follow up with a message on Instagram. And reference this video. Okay, so I know what you're talking about. Okay, we're gonna get right into it. This was pretty cool, and by pretty cool, kind of worrisome because there's a lot of crap going on over out in the Middle East. And anyway, two things. Obviously, I don't want to be in another war, having to pay for shit like that. It's ridiculous. We've already been abused by the Bidens and the Democrats and the Obamas, so to have some, and of course something like this would happen, right? But Trump is a firm man. And there was like a few things I'm not really fond of or anything like that. I'll make another video about that in the future. But ultimately, I support this man, truthfully, and I think that it's crazy with this war getting out of hand, and now like that's forcing the U.S. to have to respond to stuff like that. So hopefully it doesn't turn to full scale nuclear war, right? Nobody wants that. But there was this really cool video with Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz going back and forth. So I want to check that out.
Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one.
And I heard that, and I saw some glimpses of it over at X. Ted Cruz got mauled up by Tucker. And I support Ted Cruz to a certain extent. He's done a lot of good. So, you can't take that away from him. But he puts himself in certain positions,
Because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on. Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
we are commanded to support Israel. And we're
What does that
told,
mean?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But what? Hold on. Define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding?
This is where he got
This is
it.
a majority Christian
To
country.
define Israel, do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis. That's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
And is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel.
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
the
God's
descendants of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis? Is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
And by the way, it's not run by Benjamin Netanyahu as a dictator. It's a
I'm not
democratic
saying he's a
country
dictator.
but
He's the prime minister,
Right.
What?
But just like America is the country run by Donald Trump. No, actually, the American people elected Donald Trump. The same principle.
This is silly. I'm talking about the political entity of modern Israel.
Yes, and that is.
You believe that's what God was talking about in Genesis.
I do, but
that country's existed since when?
For thousands of years. Now, there was a time when it didn't exist, and then it was recreated just over 70 years ago.
I'm saying, I think most people understand that line in Genesis to refer to the Jewish people, God's chosen people.
That's not what it says.
Okay, Israel, but you don't even know where in the Bible it is.
I don't remember the scriptural citation.
Got him!
Okay, I keep...
Genesis 16 or something like that. But yeah,
that was a good one. That was a good one.
All right, Tucker, you keep interrupting me before I finish my
It's
sentence.
important to know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're... So you're saying as a Christian, if I believe in Jesus, I have to support the modern state of Israel?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm explaining for me what my motivation is.
But okay, so I'm just trying to understand. You said God tells you to support the modern state of Israel in the Bible, in some place in the Bible that you heard about, but you don't know where it is. That's your theology?
You're going back, am I a sleazy feline again? I mean,
if you accuse me of anti-Semitism again, I will say that, but I don't think you will.
Try to be a little less condescending. I'm trying to have a
conversation. I'm no theologian, but I can randomly open the New Testament or Old Testament. I've got a Bible out there. I can just randomly open it because the whole Bible is God blessing Israel when they do what he says. And the other times, which is most of the time, saying you're fallen, you're bad, and I'm going to destroy you, and I'm going to use your enemies to destroy you, and no one should support you. And they use one line out of the Bible and brainwash everybody and say, whoever's in charge of Israel, you got to worship them. Well, the Antichrist will be in charge at one point. You're going to worship him? You bet these fake Christians will worship Satan.
And Alex isn't he'll have shows where he'll drop some F-bombs and he'll go say certain things and whatnot. And it's like, oh wow, that's Alex Jones. Look at him. He's a Christian, yada, yada. He claims to be this, but he's using these words. Sometimes out of the heat of the moment, you will say some cuss words. That doesn't, and that shouldn't discredit someone. They're just very passionate about what they're speaking about. Anyway, that was cool. Quick little highlight of that interview. I haven't seen the full interview yet. I've only seen these highlights on X and the Gateway Pundit and Bandot video. So I'd like to see the full interview, but there's so many things going on. It may just not happen, right? Well, yeah. I mean, he did get kind of roasted, chewed up there. He didn't know what to say after that. But yeah, that being said, this video may not do well, may do well, I don't know. The world's soft nowadays, right? So talking about stuff like this, I may get banned and shit. So, I hope not, because that would suck. But been there before, so that's why you can always follow me on Rumble. You can always check me out on there. And BitChute. I will be, anything that goes up on YouTube will be over on those. However, when I do exclusive things and feature with other guests, it will be over on Rumble. YouTube has a way of, making you not feel wanted, if you catch my drift. So because of that, and years of that kind of abuse, scaled out to other outlets, right? So, yeah, we use YouTube, absolutely. But definitely check us out on our other platforms as well, okay? Um, that being said, let's watch what else has got going on there. And if y'all don't already know, Alex Jones is OG to the OGs. Um, you're going to get it right from the source if you just go to this website. So every once in a while, check it out. Because when you watch TV, it's like watching the Twilight Zone. And then when you're on these airways here on the internet, you're finding alternative news sources, and it's just you connect with it. It seems more grounded, and it is more grounded. So, geez, let's check out something else real quick that I saw that caught my eye. It's actually over on this website here, and y'all can check this out. Get away from it. It's pretty good. I like it. Every once in a while, I'll check it out. I'll use the Daily Mail, Natural News, a few other sources to kind of like get an idea of what's going on, right? So anyway, let's see what's going on here today. Today's the 20th. Let's see. Nothing posted yet on the 20th. We got everything from the 19th and so on. So, interesting. Okay. And Israel's got, wow, those look like UFOs. Israel's got this Iron Dome system too, which is crazy. I'm glad Trump brought it up too, like, because it's pretty important. I mean, if the tech is working, the U.S. should have that kind of system. So I'm glad that that's under, development. What I don't like, what I will say right now, is that the whole situation with this smart city infrastructure, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. AI needs to be regulated. AI is out of control. Um, there's good and there's pros and cons to it. Ultimately, though, at this point, it's dangerous, right? It's dangerous. Still hasn't been nipped in the butt yet, and I just don't like the idea of having to submit to that kind of system if it were in place, right? Because then maybe in the future, social credit score system would be in place, and now you have serious problems, or you don't have privacy, and Constitution and certain aspects of that is out the window, most likely, probably. It just it's never good, right? You've seen. I mean, I hope viewers like yourselves, you guys have seen, 1984, George Orwell's films. They Live was awesome. I mean, The Matrix, you got Terminator, you got video games talking about these kind of scenarios 20 years before they even happen. AK's Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, specifically. And I'll do a video about that because that one's really, really interesting. And when I first heard it, it gave me the goosebumps because it really, this whole future AI thing is, okay, I had a weird nightmare, and that's pretty much, I think, where it all started. But that'll be probably a different video. It's got a lot to do with Terminators and Skynet and stuff. Anyway, it rubs me the wrong way. So anyway, not to get on a temper tantrum, but it's pretty late tonight. I'm surprised I'm up doing a video right now, but I felt compelled to. It's been such a long time that I've posted, and I like to post on BitChute. That's mainly where I post, honestly, on BitChute. But I do want to grow my YouTube channel because there's still a lot of new, um, just a lot of new people that are still using YouTube. So I mean, even though they have their cons, it's good to scale out and try to get as much visibility as possible. Whether you have a business, whether you're doing an entrepreneurial thing by yourself, whatever. Foot traffic and scalability. You'll sell more, and you'll grow your business. So yeah, it's looking pretty dry today. I mean, they got a lot of action, splaction with like this war between Israel and Iran, I guess. I was about to say Palestine, but it's Iran now. So, oh man, we're just escalating to certain points. It's crazy. Feels like we've seen movies about this. Let's check out natural news. Ooh, what? FDA under fire as lawsuit exposes systematic transparency failures in generic drug safety. Well, FDA, I mean, I feel like they're always on fire and under fire about something. Let's read on. FDA faces a lawsuit from ProPublica for withholding records about generic drug safety, including data on drugs from unsafe foreign factories. Over 150 generic drugs may have been exempted from bans despite safety violations, raising concerns and systematic FDA failures. A 2023 outbreak linked to tainted Indian eye drops killed 4 people and caused severe injuries, highlighting risks of opaque manufacturing standards. I remember that too. I got real sketched out about like certain brands. I'm glad that's over with, right? Aren't we all? But no, that's crazy. I mean, FDA dropped the ball and ended up killing 4 people. That's what the FDA is there for, to stop stuff like that even from happening, right? Contract research organizations, or CROs, and Indian drug manufacturers have been implicated in falsifying clinical trial data, undermining drug approvals. Critics urge FDA reform or dismantling citing conflicts of interest and a lack of transparency since its founding. The FDA faces more mounting scrutiny, with ProPublica sued the agency in 2024 for refusing to disclose safety records of generic drugs produced in overseas factories plagued by violations. The lawsuit ongoing in New York's federal court reveals a systematic failure in transparency, leaving millions of American consumers in the dark about potential risks. Wow. As a generic drug makes up 90% of prescriptions, ProPublica's investigation uncovers a pattern of FDA leniency towards manufacturers. Jeez, must be because you're getting that paper, right? That paper makes you want to date her, right? Anyway, I mean, how does that make sense? Right? You have to have some type of other payouts going on. I mean, It just doesn't make sense, right? It's probably Big Pharma paying FDA out. That should be looked into. I'm not suicidal, okay? And I don't have suicidal tendencies. I'm telling you that right now, okay? If there's any FDA shills and Big Pharma shills out there, okay? Um, you don't like what I say? Fuck you. Start a YouTube channel and do something, bitch. Anyway, sorry about that. This channel is gonna be PG, especially if it's gonna go on YouTube, so apologize. But, there's those people with those nasty comments out here that just love to talk shit, like, and it never stops, and then you got AI involved talking shit. It's like, bro, at this point, bro, pull up, bro, Anyway, we'll read on. FDA's opaque approval process threatens public trust. ProPublica's request aim to identify generic drugs linked to unsafe manufacturing facilities, particularly in India. The FDA denied expedited access, claiming ProPublica had not proven a compelling need, despite evidence of hazardous conditions. As of 2025, inspection reports still redact drug names, leaving doctors, pharmacists, and policymakers without critical information. Well, that's messed up. That's horrible. How are we even, or how are they, or how's the system administering, treatment or the cure without any proper information? That's what they get the big bucks for. That's wild. Stupid pop-ups. All right. The agency's stance contrasts starkly with its 2023 recall of Philippines Respironics breathing machines after lawsuits force transparency. Yet, for generic drugs, gaps persist. ProPublica alleges the FDA approved over 150 medications from non-compliant factories via little-known exemptions, despite evidence of contaminated batches or falsified testing. Dr. Jack Browning, ProPublica's legal counsel, emphasized safety violations must not be swept under the rug as offshore manufacturing expands. Oh boy. What the hell does that even mean? If he's a legal counsel, he's just like a crappy legal counsel, let me tell you. I mean, for starters, I mean, okay, I read that wrong. Okay, so I'm understanding now. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. Whoa. Okay, so he was ProPublica legal counsel, and they're the ones investigating and uncovering pattern of the FDA and how they're, too lenient for these manufacturers. Okay, all right, I'm getting it now. So the critic echoes concerns raised by whistleblowers, including the 2005 FDA Advisory Board's compromised review of Vioxx class drugs, where panel members had ties to pharmaceutical firms. Oh! Would you look at that? Hey man, Apple is not going to fall too far from the tree. So, that should be investigated, right? Everybody at that upper echelon should be, investigated. That's wild. This is like routine for them. That's what it seems like. A legacy of fraud and cover-ups. Systematic issues systemic issues are not new. In 2005, the FDA allowed painkillers like Cerebrix and Vioxx to stay on market despite evidence of cardiovascular risks. Decades later, third-party contract research organizations, also known as CROs, responsible for verifying bioequivalence of generics, began revealing shocking fraud. In 2013, Citero Research, a Houston-based CRO, also known as Contract Research Organization, fabricated clinical trial data, prompting the EU, Europe, to ban 100-plus drugs based on its findings. The FDA, however, avoided recalling questionable generics, instead assigning BX ratings which deem products non-interchangeable but still legal to sell. Critics likened the approach to Alice in Wonderland, bureaucratic evasion, leaving pharmacists to sort out risks. Recent scandals have intensified scrutiny. In 2023, a toxic antiseptic mixture in Indian-manufactured eye drops killed 4 individuals and blinded others. That's fucking wrong. The FDA literally owes these families millions, as well as the previous cases in lawsuits, I'm sure, that are open. The FDA's delayed response highlighted reactive over proactive oversight. CROs and foreign factories where the risks converge. The FDA relies heavily on contract research organizations and overseas manufacturers, 80% of which are based in India. Yet these partners have been repeatedly cited for data manipulation. In 2024, the FDA flagged Synapses Labs, I guess, Pervert Limited. I don't know what that means. Private Limited? I'm assuming. I don't know. For falsified bioequivalence studies, potentially tainting hundreds of generic drugs, including Viagra and Cialis. Despite this, the FDA, citing confidentiality, refused to name affected medications, mirroring its 2021 handling of data fraud from Synchron and Panaxel, also Indian firms. Natural News founder Mike Adams has long argued the FDA's mission is compromised, citing its "do it right the first time" slogan as hypocritical. Well, if you did it right the first time, there wouldn't be any lawsuits. Now, would there? Huh, FDA? Shills that are watching. Huh? Alright. Yeah, the FDA must reform or collapse, he asserts, pointing to the agency's revolving door with pharmaceutical executives. Huh. Another pharmaceutical link, right? Keyword pharma ends with ical. All right, piece it together. You got collusion. Oh boy, I'm pretty good at this. A crossroads for healthcare transparency. ProPublica's lawsuit and historical evidence underscore a broken system where the FDA prioritizes industry confidentiality over public safety. As Americans rely on generics for life-saving treatments, the lack of transparency risks repeating past tragedies. Experts call for urgent reforms mandating public data sharing, independent audits, and stricter penalties for fraud. Without transparency, patients cannot make informed choices or trust their medicine is safe. Browning warned. The FDA's response to this crisis will determine whether it evolves into a protector of public health or remains mired in secrecy, valuing corporate interests over lives. All right. So that was an article written by Willow Tohi over at Natural News. And that's pretty, that's pretty enlightening because, I knew the FDA is corrupt. But, these are some insightful